I know we've not done interviews for editors yet, but someone next year will be the graphics editor. I don't know who that will be yet, um, or if there'll be multiple people or one person or how that's going to go. But for now, I wanted to make a little video that goes over the basics on how to be the graphics editor. Now, let me preface this with I'm not talking about being the design editor, I'm talking about being the graphics editor. You could have one person that is the graphics and design editor, but that is technically fulfilling two roles. The design editor is someone who is in charge of editing the layouts that are going to print. So when someone finishes their layout, which well they're in charge of mentoring and editing, sorry. So when someone is working on a layout, the design editor is the go-to person to help them create the layout as far as questions or suggestions or ideas all go. And the graphics editor is a different person or the same person who will actually just be in charge of managing graphics on Flow. So, any story that we're working on needs an image. That image could be a photo or it could be a graphic, either way. Usually, things that have graphics are our, like things that go in our opinion section because a lot of times we don't have like a photo of opinions. Not that we never do, but sometimes. So if you go opinion, you'd see we have a lot of graphics here. Arts and leisure also sometimes uses graphics. Although I don't think they have recently. This is arts and leisure. Okay, yeah. So, whoever's in charge, yeah. Here's another. Yeah, so we do sometimes, but there's a lot of photos on here too. So and news and sports pretty much never use graphics, and then feature usually doesn't use graphics, but it can like print features. Like this is a graphic. So mostly opinion, sometimes art and leisure, rarely feature and like pretty much never sports or news unless it's like maybe a recap and we really have nothing. But that was mostly during the COVID year, because now we actually have pretty good sports photography, thanks to Carolina and other people. But Carolina's she loves sports photography. That's like her favorite thing to do. Anyway, well, favorite newspaper thing. Anyway, though, so the graphics. The people who you want to kind of coordinate with are whoever's in charge of those sections I just mentioned, opinion, feature, and arts and leisure. I don't know if we're going to have senior editors next year or if it's just going to be like a head editor of the section or if it's going to be like an online editor in chief or what it's going to be. But whoever that person is who's like the top person in that section, that's who you're going to want to talk to. Just be like, hey, do we have anything that needs graphics? And usually they'll have already made the card. Like I would honestly just check Flow and see like if there's any graphic cards that don't have some that need someone assigned to them. But if you don't see that, you could talk to them. Otherwise, if people need graphics, you can go through the stories on Flow and you can be like, all right, well, this story, I'm not looking at specific stories, FYI, but like, oh, this story right here has a photo, but you know what? I think because it's about college commitments, and I think this photo of this person wearing their college merch is real nice, but I think we should also have an infographic about colleges or something like that. Like you could always add, you can have a photo and a graphic. It doesn't have to just have a photo. Infographics also add to stories. It doesn't make them multimedia. You're not a multimedia because you have an infographic, but it does make them a higher quality story, assuming that the infographic is done well and is relevant to the piece. So that's also another opportunity. As far as actually assigning graphics goes, let's see, where's my Starbucks review? All right, I'm actually gonna do a photo, but photos and graphics as far as assignments go work the same way. If this is your writing card, you'll click up here, add assignment, go to graphic. I'm gonna do photo, just because I'm gonna put a photo on this. Select your workflow. Again, you would do graphics. There's a graphics workflow, I believe. Oh wait, no, you can't add a graphics workflow to a photo card, but there would be like, oh, the graphic for print, graphic for whatever. Um, yeah, so I'm doing photo. It's the same thing though. It's just for graphics, and then you would assign whoever. I'm assigning myself. That made a very loud noise for no reason. And then yeah, beyond that, you just submit things through Flow. I have a separate video on how to make a Flow card, so you can go watch that. I'm gonna link it. But yeah, and then afterwards, grading. You hit. I think only senior editors or editors in chief can grade. So I don't know if whoever's in charge of graphics will have that permission next year. They might. I'm not really sure. But in case you go up here, make sure the cycle's on the right one. We're not in production right now, but it would be cycle 7. You hit grade rubric. Always use the rubric, and then select the rubric. There'll only be one option, and you go through and you enter whatever it is, add any notes, hit save, and then you're done. And that is how you grade. And honestly, that is really all that being the graphics editor entails. The only thing beyond that is like when we're having print meetings, it's important. It's actually, no, it's like required, necessary that whoever the graphics editor is shows up to the print meetings. If you're not showing up to the print meetings, you cannot be the graphics editor. I'll say that again. If you are not showing up to meetings about print, you will be removed from graphics editor, because it's extremely important that you attend that. Because people who don't do graphics, people who aren't artists like that, sometimes don't know. Like, they don't know when something could use a graphic. You need to be there to give ideas about how we can visually represent our stories, because especially in print, that is extraordinarily necessary. So both the graphics and design editors, whether they're the same person or different people, have to attend every print meeting, okay? So you'd show up there and you'd give input and be like, oh, yeah, good idea. I think we could also use an infographic, or we could use a quote package, or, I mean, quote package is more like design editor stuff, but you know what I'm saying. Like, we could use an illustration, or maybe just parts of an illustration to complement the photo, or something like that. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's all that that's really all the responsibilities you'll have as a graphics editor. I would suggest, once you know who your graphics people are, and at the beginning of the year, creating a WhatsApp group chat so you can communicate with them. Just like how I do this year, I send a message, hey, does anyone need a graphic? If there's a graphic or that I need to get claimed, or sometimes I also just use it to check in, like, has everyone met the requirement? You know, the staffers are responsible for making sure that they have enough assignments, but you also share part of that responsibility. New staffers, especially freshmen, sometimes won't really ask for assignments that they need, and while it is on them, it's also on you to kind of help them understand that they do need to ask. But in order to do that, you have to check in with them, you have to text them, you have to make sure that they're all right, because it's a very different class compared to how other classes work. So you have to make sure that everyone is kind of on the same page. So a group chat is very necessary for the graphics section, especially. Anyway, that's all. If you have any questions, please let me know. And that is it.